So this is a Pacifist Sans analysis. So first we have no upgrade Pacifist Sans, so he has ketchup for regen and a little lazy bone to deal some damage. Now we have the second upgrade of Pacifist Sans, which is before joking aside. It's actually relatively solid. It's got a Gaster Blaster and some bone walls. The blaster's okay. Bone walls are fat, map wide. And that's that for regular Pacifist Sans. Now we shift gears to the next upgrade of joking aside. Got a lingering blaster, it's campable, and some map wide bone walls, which are good because it's different from Pacifist Sans as they cover the map in a different way that gives area control. Joking aside's also got this really slow bone throw, which is kind of ass. Now let's roll to Pacifist Thunderswap Papyrus. The new move mentioned being this bone wave. There's also still some minor differences, such as the orange soul, which means move, dumbass. So it's really only effective against AFK people. It has upgrade 2 Pacifist bone walls, but instead of blue, they're orange. It's horrendous because moving is easier than staying still. So from Pacifist Underswap to Pacifist Underfell. Why so purple in the face? Now we have Clown Sans. He's got an extra projectile that can blind, and he is coming for you! Now it's a relatively new pre-Pacifist skin. It's got one of the best looking maps. Still has ketchup for regen? Yeah. So a new take on the bone zone called Bone Rain. It's also really good. Still keeps the joking aside bone walls on a much larger scale. And also still has a singular lingering blaster, which all in all makes for a really good character. And now, the ultimate thing. Neutral Sans, a whopping 5 phases and causes 3000 XP to unlock. Phase 1, sad. So phase 1 is solid. It's a map-wide bone sliders, dual Gaster Blasters, a decent bone zone, also a unique move called Boing Bone, which is pretty good, just keeps on going. Now we have phase 2, which is just kind of the same, but there's also Boing Bone replaced by Blue Bone, which is just as effective. And phase 3, oh boy, sweaty. Phase 3 has practically no moves left except for the auto blasters I forgot to mention earlier that all the other phases have. This phase is kind of goofy. Phase 4. Prepare for trouble. Phase 4 will be fine on its own since it has sliders in the blaster circle, but 50 stamina is barely enough for anything, and once you use those moves, you're done. You hear me? Done. Phase 5. So phase 5 is actually really interesting. You have like infinite stamina, and there's a bunch of moves so you can just spam. This is really important because that means that you can basically just keep on going as long as there's no players near you. What happens if players are near you? Well, they hit you and then you just start melting. When you melt, you lose access to some of your moves, which is pretty bad because then you'll be vulnerable. This usually isn't too big of a problem because your first spam of all the moves should take out most of the players left on the board, considering the first 4 phases were overpowered enough to probably take out most of the first lives. Now it's time for some philosophy. If you think about it, Neutral Sans is a lot like us. He goes through various phases. Each time, you can be visibly seen how hard he is trying to persist. He is the embodiment of human nature, the resolute will to never give up. So remember next time when you're exercising, how hard Neutral Sans persists to stay alive, while all you need to persist through is a few more reps.